Welcome back. Here we are live at the White Mule Winery on the high plains of Gasconade County, and
77.
it is 77 wet degrees here at the White Mule, and we are
It's
blessed.
good to hear you say that.
Huh?
It's good to hear you say that.
It is great. I mean, we have been praying and hoping and talking and thinking about this drought situation, and for the time being, it has broken 2.4 inches here officially at the winery. And Gracie's, who is, a half a mile east of us, got the same. So, and I checked in with the boys at the Dutch Mill this morning, and that would be official there.
Yep.
And it varied, but everybody got over a couple inches. And I know Dennis Warden, who does the paper in Owensville, Karen talked with him or see him on Facebook. Owensville got 4 inches of rain, and Larry Keevan is here. We're going to talk about thrashers, but he indicated that Rosebud had 3 inches. And what a blessing it is for all of us, and the thrashers also, because think about what you deal with there. Think about the wood powered and the chance, but now they can go forth with a good show, I'm sure, and it's going to have to be hot because that's how the thrashers is. But hey, we're going to get into this in just a minute here, but thank you for being along here on KTUI 1560 AM 94.1 FM, or possibly you're watching on Facebook Live, and if so, good to have you back. Want to mention just a little bit about the program that we had here last Friday, a drought meeting put on by Buford Ag and ADM and the USDA. We had a great meeting, a great response from the farmers. I think there was about 100 farmers here, and just a lot of ideas and a lot of strategies going together on how to survive this particular situation without there being a lack of hay. And this rain we had will absolutely help. There's no question about it, but there's not a silver bullet when you lose your first hay crop, or you lose your first cutting, because that's 70-80% of the tonnage that you're going to get, 70% of the tonnage. But we're thankful, and this is going to bring the grass on, and it will help. But we'll still need some work in order to manage with the deficit of hay that we have. So, hey, Gracie, how are you doing?
I'm doing good.
Good. You're going to have to go back to cutting grass now.
Huh. That is true.
It grew an inch last night, didn't it?
Yep. It's a good thing. Hopefully the hay did too.
I hopefully that it does. There's no question about it. So we are here today talking to Larry Keevan, the part of the leadership team of the Gasconade County Thrashers show, Steam Engine and Thrashers show at Rosebud, and this is Larry's second year in the leadership position. Him and his son-in-law kind of have a partnership in regard to the president and vice president. Colton is 22 years old, but he Rademacher has taken it up on his shoulders, and Larry is there as vice president to help him, because there's a lot that goes on there, Larry. And I just want to thank both of you for taking the leadership position, because, to begin with, Larry, a lot of the people that are there, I would say most of those people there are doers. They like to work, they like to work hard, but don't necessarily like, some of the leadership things and some of the things that kind of go along with running that. So thank you guys for stepping up, and thank your family to keep this iron hot and keep it going, because it is a great program.
Oh, definitely. yeah, and it's usually the same group of volunteers that are there doing 90% of the work,
And that probably won't change
It won't
until
change.
their kids get there,
it
you know?
won't change, and but yeah, we are blessed. This is our 62nd year, and part of Colton's decision to do that was his grandparents were one of the founding members, so there's some history there, and his passion for tractors, so he's there on the tractor side, and then we converted him a little bit to steam, so we got him on the steam engine, so that always helps. But yeah, I mean it's just all the things that go into a show that a lot of people don't understand, in the background, and
I recall you said 62 years. Thanks for reminding me that how old I am, because I remember Daddy took me to the very first one that was in the lower park where the ball field. There was nothing there at that point. There was some livestock buildings there, but I remember walking around there and pretty much in awe. I was probably 6 or 7 years old at that point. But I remember distinctly some of the conversations that was had, some of the old timers that was there. Ed Pitzu had his old Hubler, and that had a great, in my mind, I remember that because on this Ruthermar farm right here, Ed Pitzu lived just down Pitzu Road, probably 4 miles from here. But every year he would take the Hubler and the thrash machine, because that's how things were done.
Yeah.
He would take it and I would see it go down the highway and just slow, boom, 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 slow as could be. But I remember Ed and doing that and coming over here and remember Albert Ruthermar having the team of white mules and hauling those bundles, from the field into the thrash machine, and I remember most of the meals.
That's just, the stories that I hear too. And talking with my aunts, that's the one thing. Grandma made meals when they did the threshing grounds, and my aunts were like, we delivered the food, but those guys could eat.
Oh my God, and you drew the whole community because it was a community event. Everybody helped each other.
Yep.
And it was kind of a celebration also, because I tell you what, and you probably know the history here as well as anything, but wheat made and saved an awful lot of farms in this area.
Oh, yeah.
It was something that we could grow up here, and wheat had a high value to it, during and after the wars. And, they had to have bread and they had to have that commodity, and there was a lot of uses for that. Everybody had a mill, that you could make wheat, or use wheat.
Yep.
Made sharts and bran out of that, plus the flour, and, those were feeds. But, I remember one time, talking about another Ruthermar over here, John.
Yep.
John and Jerry were part of that, but they had. I remember Dad saying they had 100 acres of wheat, which was just unheard of at one time. But that wheat, wheat has always made reasonably bushel to the acre. The technology and the genetics have changed some, but not as much as corn. But I remember that Dad was talking about they got $6 and $7 a bushel for wheat, which was paid to farm.
Oh, yeah. Yep.
So that's what you're dealing with, Larry. You've got, how many people are on the active people do you have about working at the thrashers?
Typically we got 60, 70 members as our norm, and we've been very fortunate. We've been getting more at our monthly meetings, so we do have some more participation along those lines. We've got a new gentleman going to be operating the sawmill for us this year. Marty Eckstein used to take care of that for us, and as
Oh, Marty did that?
Yeah, Marty did that for a long time, and Charlene, his wife, as sweetheart as she is,
yes.
She would always come with a crumb cake, and then she'd feed the guys in the sawmill. Then she'd come over to the steam engines. So it was always look forward to Charlene bringing something to eat, and every morning, and then sometimes in the afternoon she'd come with watermelon and have slices for everybody. So I've only been active in the show since 2006. And prior to that, I mean, our family goes back. We used to bring the office trailer down there and loan it to them for use of that. Dad and I would take it down, set it up, and drop it off. Eldo Meyer was involved for a long time, and Eldo's still involved, but having some health issues. But he'd always made those arrangements, and we dropped the trailer off, and we have a place at the Lake of the Ozarks, so we were, it was always a weekend that we were down usually at the lake. And in 2006 was the first time I actually operated a steam engine with a dear friend of mine, and that was a regular at the show. And then he kind of got my girls on his steam engine, and actually was quite more interested in the girls running it than me, which was quite funny. But it was a scale model engine, so me on that engine looked out of proportion. The girls and his grandson were like, the right size to operate this thing. So, but yeah, he was just adamant, no, get the girls on there, get the girls. And at that time, they didn't care. They were young enough. Yeah, they were doing it. Stu was practically a grandpa to my kids, and so yeah, that started. I got sucked in on another engine. Then I got put on the sawmill, and so that was 06. And then fast forward to 2011, when Don Pullman decided to sell his engine, which is the one that I own currently. And
What is that?
It's a 1923 Advanced Rumley. So this year it's 100 years old. It's featured. It's our featured engine.
Wow.
And but Advanced Rumley quit making engines in 1924, so it is like a baby in the steam engine world. So it's like one of the newest ones on the market or out there. But
How many horsepower?
It's 20 horsepower. Yeah.
But 20 real horsepower.
I've never put mine on a dyno, but I was at a show last year and they put a scale model case on a dyno that I happened to see, and that scale model case was putting out 22 horsepower. So I would just love to see what an Advance will do, and I will see that one of these days. Either at a show and see what they're capable of doing. But yeah, they were way underrated. Yeah, they have a lot of power, and people don't understand. So Cassidy was a senior in high school. We took that engine to tractor day at Washington High School, and the only way I could get it there was I had to get it on rubber, and that was the plan. I also paraded in Montgomery City at their show. We go down Highway 19 on Friday night with the parade. So yeah, we've done a lot with it, but we put it on rubber that winter and took it to the high school. And the next year we were at Montgomery City, and we do some steam engine games at a couple of the shows, and one of them that's very popular is a stump bump. So we put a stump in front of the engine, and we back away from it and do a 2-point turn and come back and touch it with the back of the engine. And you usually can accomplish that in less than 50 seconds, and which is you're taking 15 tons of steel and making it fly. And so it's quite.
That's cool.
Yeah, we do it at Rosebud, just kind of hit and miss, but some of the other shows we do it, well, we did it up in Montgomery City. And so Sarah and I took it through the parade on Friday night, and that Saturday we were doing some games with it, and one of my friends was on my engine doing a stump bump, and the next thing there's little bolts laying there. And it had so much power that it actually spun a wheel inside my rubber and sheared several bolts. And, it's a rubber track that I got on the outside, so all of a sudden I've got a flat basically. And so we put some straps on it. We got it parked. I called the guy that hauls for me and said, come get me anytime. You don't have to wait till tomorrow because I'm not doing anything else. I'll get it home and get it repaired. And he's just like, oh my gosh, cut the show short for you. And I'm like, it could have happened on the highway while we were parading last night. So, and I had used some, I guess, smaller bolts than I thought they would be heavy enough. So, changed my whole method of, attaching it and reworked it the next winter. And this past winter, we did a little more work on it. Actually, in the last 2 months, the girls and Sarah and I, it's the picture that's on there don't do it justice. You'll have to come to the show to see it because it looks pretty darn snazzy. The girls helped out quite a bit. And so.
Oh, that's, what did it weigh? You told me what it weighed.
15 tons.
Okay, that's 30,000 pounds. That's, see how good I am with math?
Don't ask me.
No, that's a lot of weight.
Yeah.
And that's where their lugging ability, that's where it all comes down. The horsepower that they rate today is way different than the horsepower back then, so I would say that could probably pull 20 team. I don't know, you know what I'm saying, but anyway, that's not part of the program, but or part of the show, but they're stout. There's no question about it.
Some shows we have the ability to plow, and last year Sarah went with me. There's a world record out there. The largest steam engine in the world is the Case 150. It's only about 5 years old. It was rebuilt from the original set of plans. The gentleman that did it is Corey Anderson, so I took her up to Andover, South Dakota, to see this engine.
Oh, it was a handover?
Yeah, and she, I'd been up there before. The year after it was built, I took a few guys, my mentor Stu and another gentleman, Don, and my dad. We went up there to see it, and the year, it was all the talk, but I didn't know enough about it the year it debuted, and to make those arrangements, didn't have enough time off. And then the next year, Stu wanted to go, and but his wife had some dementia, and he was married to the house and taking care of the family. And unfortunately, we lost her. So then he was like, not sure what I'm doing. And I'm like, we're going to go to the show. And so just took him and Don and Dad, and we went up, 4 of us guys, and we saw that engine the next year. And so I'd seen it. Well, that year he pulled 36 plows with it, and that was a world record. And the next year he pulled 42. And then
There's got to be a YouTube of this, ain't
oh yeah,
there?
it's all out there. Yeah, you just do case 150, you can see it. But that's this man got so passionate in it. His family's very passionate in it. If you ever met him, yeah, it just oozes passion for just. His dad's got a lot. The show up there is probably a third Anderson vehicles, tractors, steam engines, and they have a lot. So he's going to break this world record, and I'm like, I want to be there. And our show that is here, then we go to Montgomery City, then my family goes to Mount Pleasant.
Yes,
Memorial.
that's a big one. That's
Yeah,
a big one
Labor Day
too.
weekend, yeah, and we run engines up there. Well, their show up in Andover is the weekend after Mount Pleasant. So we got home on Tuesday, and I'm like, I'm going, and a couple of kids talked about going. Well, then things came up and couldn't go. So time was getting away from us, and Sarah's like, you're going to go by yourself? And I'm like, I might get a friend to go, but we drove through the night Thursday night, got up there, and to see this thing plow Friday afternoon. And that case 150 pulling 50 plows was not. It's
50.
50 plows. It's still not working to its potential because, and unless you're.
What do they use for fuel in it? Wood or no?
The 150 up there, they're burning coal, and a lot of them that are working regularly were burning coal.
And that gets hotter.
Yeah, it gets hotter, it gets you more heat, so you got more work, because we're making steam, and we got to take that water and boil it to make it do what we want it to do. So, and so our show, it's all wood, and we can accomplish everything we need to show, with wood. But yeah, we got on that day after he did that. Well, he did it Friday and Saturday. We were there Friday, saw a lot less people there. Saturday, there was a ton of people there. Can't get near that engine if you wanted to, and we got all our pictures. So then a friend of mine was driving the case 80, and we were pulling, I think, 8 plows. Yeah, and then the 110, we pulled 10 plows, and both of them engines were working their little tails off to pull them plows. And then here the other engine's right across the field, and it's
50.
pulling 50 plows, and it's not working. So it's they have so much potential, and so it's but it's those that are in it are passionate about it, and just like anything, and we try to have a little fun with it too. So.
Well, yes, absolutely, and you do. You can tell, and you're passionate about it. The interesting thing about technology and steam is that it runs the world, in regard to what the capabilities of hot water and steam can do. I mean, people don't think about it, but that runs the nuclear, that's all they do with nuclear generation is heat water to make steam, to turn the turbine, to make electric. Coal, I'm assuming the same way. The coal
power plants the same way.
Labadee, they heat the steam up, and the steam is what creates the the utility. But it creates the opportunity for the strength and the power
to spin the turbine and get us the
spins
electricity.
it going. Isn't that something? Ain't it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, and that's why Labadee is by the Missouri River, so they use the river water to keep things cool. And
as well as the nuclear power plant. You know what I'm saying? They got a big
pipe.
They got a big pipe
even
running.
though it's a ways away from the river. They're
Yep.
drawing water out of the river.
Yep.
So, but yeah, that's a friend of mine is bought an electric car, and he's all excited. And I just I don't have the heart to really burst his bubble to say, well, it burns coal, and because he lives in St. Louis, and that's still Labadee Power Plant, and so I mean, you can tell me all day long that you got an electric car, but unless you're burning something from nuclear, it's burning coal.
And they don't like to hear that a lot. I mean, don't misunderstand me. I don't know him, but that's a cheap source, and the cheapest. Well, I don't know if it's the cheapest. That's what they taught us back in high school used to, but it probably ain't anymore because the regulations are so and probably need to be. But anyway, the power of steam is incredible.
Yeah.
And it probably will be the answer to an awful lot of solutions as we move forward. You know, geo kind of stuff, and you know where there's heat in the ground and doing those particular things. I mean, it's an amazing element.
Well, a lot of the power plants are switching, not actually switching the whole plant from coal, but they're retooling and running a lot of them on natural gas on non-peak loads, and that's happening across the country. I have a mechanical engineer friend that's one of the guys in that process that it works on retooling some of this stuff. So there's things happening, so they can burn natural gas and they can burn a lot cleaner than coal. And there's so many regulations on the coal. So every ounce of coal that they burn, then there's fees and everything along with that. So,
but that's really all we have did in the last, I don't know, 20 years, maybe 30 years, is we have just built plants for the most part that are needed at peak times. You know, when it gets super hot, or that, and that's basically when the big need is there. So that they put on. There's not a constant generation. I mean. Bagnell Dam, you know what I'm saying, is one of those that pretty much are used to, unless they're down for repairs. They want some water through there, but the nuclear plants, the coal plants, that's your base load power grid,
right.
And then all of the other things, the wind power, the solar, the other power that is generated is relying on Mother Nature, to produce that, and the gas plants, they're just a supplement to the base load. So we ain't really got the base load figured out yet.
that's for sure.
But anyway, we could talk about that. But this is Thrasher. But it's interesting. It's the same.
Definitely.
It's the same concept. It's the same muscle power that's there. Well, the community of Rosebud works together. Goes out of their way, what I'm saying, to cook and to help and to supply the park and the people, because they're hospitable people, and it's a good event for the community. It's a good event for everybody. But I don't know where we want to start on activities, but wow, how many different events and what's all going on that people can see.
There's a ton going on. So Friday night we've got the lawnmower pull, and it's a fun pull. It's just a lot of lawnmowers down on the tractor pull track. So they'll be down there pulling. So we'll have engines running. We'll be sawing logs Friday. Be thrashing wheat. We've had a bumper wheat crop.
Good. And you put your own wheat in, or used to?
Yeah, we still do. And so yeah, last year, so I've been helping more with the wheat the last 5 years, and we've been thin on wheat for the last several years. And this year we actually stopped binding about halfway through the field because we did that well. And I think we've got 6 wagons full of wheat.
That's
typically.
awesome.
Yeah, we don't have that many. So, and it was, and then we combined the rest of it and then baled, the straw, the newer method. But it was like Eldo Meyer was there that day with us, and we're just binding away, and he's like, yeah, you need to stop. So we had a bumper crop of wheat. Now whether or not that we had good weather, we got it fertilized. MFA helped us out with that in Owensville. So, all the things come together, and we got the wheat, so now we can separate. Colton talked. Rich Krinke runs the separator for us. Talked him into pulling out our backup separator. So we got two
going,
and so we're gonna have the backup one running this year, just to make sure we got everything. On it. It hasn't been used in I don't know how many years, and but yeah.
I wonder if that was Pitsu's. Was that Ed Pitsu, the backup?
I can't answer that.
Okay.
Colton would probably be able to answer that for you.
It come pretty local, I bet.
Yeah.
I mean, there was usually, every community had a thrasher, a thrashing machine, and somebody that run it. I mean, if you look at, Charlotte here, it was there. But even if you went to Wittenberg, which nobody knows where it is, but there or Bem or wherever, every community had, Bay had the people that owned the thrash machines. And, it was.
Yeah, because even after, steam engines ended about 1924, then that's when steel wheel tractors, first come around. So our neighbor in Lyon, the old man that was there, got to know him real well. He was a bachelor when we knew him. His wife had passed years before. He had a steel wheel tractor in the front yard, and as a kid, all I remember is if we stopped over to see Tony, we put a flag in the tractor stack, and we pledged our allegiance to that flag in that tractor. Well, that tractor pulled his separator, and that made the money that he was able to buy. He had several farms that he owned. Did not trust the banks, and at the time I'm a little kid, and you don't know all this, and then now I look back at it, and all these things come together, and it's like, there's a whole lot of truth to a lot of things over the years. So, but yeah, it put me in, along with him. So yeah, there's a lot of things that led up to my passion in doing this and hanging out with all these people. But so we'll be sawing and separating all 3 days. We've got bands. Friday night is the farm family band, and then Saturday is the farm family. Yeah, and then later in the evening is the Dave Perryman band. So we've got plenty of entertainment for those that just want to come entertain. At noon each day, we'll do the parade on the grounds. So we'll announce the tractors. Everybody gets to show them off. Sunday, we will do the awards at noon and make a few presentations. We always do a little bit extra special for those that we've lost in this past year. So if you come to that, you either hold your ears or bring your earplugs, but the steam engines will make it loud. And that's always a special little treat. But, so after the parade on Saturday on the grounds of the tractors and everything, then the actual tractor pull gets started down in the lower area.
And those tractors got an age limit in regard to what they do?
I believe 1959, if I remember right. We got the rules on the back of the flyer, and and they.
That's a big thing.
Yeah.
I mean, and it's antique, what we call antique
all
tractors.
original, and they all have a lot of fun with it. Being with the steam engine, I don't get
Pretty competitive though too.
Yeah.
They have fun, but it's pretty competitive,
I've only been down there a couple times, and that's just when the kids were on a tractor. And but with the steam engine, we're kind of married to that area.
Right,
and
right.
Be with it, but so yeah, that limits us a little bit, and and that was the other thing when Colton and I kind of stepped in. It's like this is going to take time away from our fun, and managing everything, but it's all working out. So. But yeah, we got the spinners will be there. They got cloggers. Saturday night we got the bale toss. Church service Sunday morning. We'll do a pedal pull on 10 a.m. Sundays, the adults, and then a little later in the day at 2 o'clock is the kiddie.
This pedal pull is huge. I don't know if you made it to New Haven Fair,
No, I didn't.
but I had some people in here over the weekend and said that the New Haven Fair had over 100 kids doing the pedal pull, and they also did the pig scramble. Over 300.
Wow.
Over 300 kids in the pig scramble. I don't know how much our audience knows about that, but we used to do it at our fair. You get a couple of Schultz. I mean that's a 20-pound pig or whatever. Fast, and then you grease everybody up, and you go out there, and if they can haul it over the finish line, I don't know what the rules are now, but that's how most of the 4-H project started here, because they would use gills. And then if you caught this pig, you could, if you wanted to, take it home, and start your hog operation, but can you imagine 300 kids? It's kind of like I was saying, I said, my Will, who, happy birthday, by the way, Will, my first born grandson has his birthday today, 5 years old today. So I'm sure he's not listening, but anyway, it's kind of like going to Will's first T-ball games. There's like 33 people in the infield. What I'm saying, it's pretty chaotic, but it's good. So the pig scramble had to be excellent. So this pedal pull, and it's worth noting that we've had several local people compete in South Dakota at the World Championships and do very, very well there. So, it bodes well for us. There's no question.
Oh yeah, no, the kids growing up, I mean, they did it at Washington Fair, and always have attitude to it. They did it down here at Threshers, so they all were passionate with it, and yeah, you see some of the other kids that they love doing it, and it's one other thing that we can provide for the community, get them kids there and on the tractors, and grandma and grandpa and mom and dad, you know, all there watching. I mean, it's a family affair. Like you were talking about our volunteers, we got the Parks Department and all the volunteers for the food. We got plenty of food.
But you have chicken on Sunday, don't you, or
Yes.
didn't you?
Yeah, the food is Rosebud Community Park. Friday is the open face roast beef special, and then Saturday is barbecued pork steak, and Sunday is the fried chicken dinner. And if you're not there by 1 o'clock on Sunday, you may not be getting fried chicken because
They move through it.
usually we start hauling engines out after the parade, and then it's kind of like, well, we'll go grab something and take it home or something. And usually there's nothing left by the time we get time to get up there and get something to eat. So
Well, they can stop at the white mule. No. I mean, this is something that absolutely look forward to. And one of the events that they used to do, and I don't think they do it anymore, is they used to do it at tug of war, or the tug of war, which the Thrasher show notoriously to me, because it's my wedding weekend too, or next weekend. But,
congratulations.
But hottest time of the year, absolutely the pinnacle of heat. Usually a lot of times, because we pulled on the tug of war many times with the Zelsches, and Earl Merck and Olin Meyer and you name it, and way overwhelmed on heat, because you just pull your guts out, and at that point there was no beating the Zelsches, because here they are, just a lot of legs, and they had a weight limit to it, so when you had Earl Merck on you. And me, I wasn't that big back then, but it was fun. So you're not doing that anymore, but insurance.
The one thing that is back this year that we haven't had for a couple of years is a car show, and it's a different group taking care of it. But it sounds like the funny part is I work in the St. Louis area, and one of my dealers, all of a sudden the day after we made the announcement, and he's calling me saying, "What's the dates?" So he already got an email saying
really?
That group.
Is that Owensville car? Is that
no, it's not your father's car show. The gentleman that kind of ramrods it is a instructor at Lynn State.
Okay.
And, our state tech now, but they're coming out. So, but it was they're all excited to be there. They don't do real big trophies. It's more of a fun thing. They typically do like maybe who drove the furthest will get a trophy. Maybe the most improved car. It's not just a class of those cars.
Right.
And same people are getting a trophy every weekend, type thing. So we will have that back and look forward to seeing that. I know that was missed by people over the last couple of years that we haven't had it, and that was just one of them unfortunate things. Different people and different head of different groups didn't see eye to eye, and all of a sudden things changed. So you just kind
You've even had a wedding during the Thrasher show at one time. I don't know if you recall that. And boy, I just lost his name now. But one of the original Thrashers got married on the steam engine.
Okay.
So in case anybody, I'll think about it yesterday, and let you know. But you got married on a steam engine. That's got to be a memory that will be around a while. There's no doubt.
Yeah.
Well, it takes an incredible amount of work, an incredible amount of passion and desire to do this, because it's not only the Thrashers. The show that they have in regard to tractors, and not all the tractors, antique tractors, pull and those kind of things. There's a whole nother configuration of tractors and machines that are in this air that are very worthy, and highly valued, anymore. So if you grew up on a Ford Ferguson, or a Red Belly Ford, or a Fordson or something like that, you can almost bet that there's going to be one of them there.
Oh yeah, definitely. I mean, there's so many tractors. It's just, and every one of them is at a different stage of restoration. Some of them buy them and then they take them to the show. Then they start getting into the restoration side of it, and then you see the progress as they go. Some buy them and wait and do the restoration and bring them, and then it's showroom clean. Actually, probably better than showroom. I know the one that Colton did for Melissa. it's it's probably better than.
Was that his wedding present to her?
No, that was actually just a birthday present.
Oh,
Yeah,
wow.
but it was, she was, passionate about
That
tractors.
sealed the deal, though, didn't it?
So yeah, they, but every one of them's got a story with it, and they, it's what it, father, son, grandson, and granddaughters. So yeah, just seeing all of the ages, all of the, all the kids involved in it. Some of the grandpas will bring the tractor and they'll put the grandson on it.
Sure.
Cassidy did, we did tractor games a number of years ago, and Dad had a little Alice that had a creep gear on it, so it would win the slow race, hands down. And
The creep race?
Well, yeah. And,
I want to do that.
she ended up winning, I think, 4 or 5 trophies that year because it was a low silhouette tractor. So then she won the barrel push, and I can't remember which other one she won. But little kid, Grandpa let her take the tractor, and then here she goes and competes, and she gets several trophies.
Low gear, RPMs way low, and just what it takes.
Yep.
Low.
Yeah, prior to that, most of them were the little farm-all cubs, because they're, low gear was slow enough, and so, you go 50 or 100 feet, whatever it was, and, so I'm like, this is, but that tractor, the first year Dad brought it up there, yeah, it took like, I want to say 12, 15 minutes to go that 50 feet, because he just put it in low, and, Cassie's like, I don't need to go that slow, I just need to go slow enough to,
Yeah.
to be competitive. And,
Yeah.
So we did a little timing with it, but yeah, it's cute when they're that age and they want to do it. I mean, and then we fast forward a couple years, and I mentioned I was passionate about Sparks, but Cassidy, or Abby was leaving the show one year. She was working the next day, so she was taking Sarah's vehicle. It wouldn't start. Me and one of my buddies are messing with this vehicle for a while, and I kind of abandoned the steam engine. Cassidy was taking care of it, and I'm like, okay, if the fire goes out, it's fine because, this is higher priority. Couldn't fix it, so we had to get a tow truck in, get the car towed. And I turn around and, Sarah's like, do you want to do Sparks? And I'm like, yeah, the engine's probably too cool. I won't get a steam back up in time. And she goes, you need to go look. I'm like, okay. I walk over to the steam engine, and Cassidy's standing on the back of the platform, and she goes, I got 100 pounds of steam. And I said, then we're throwing Sparks. And so we went up, we belted up, and I climbed off of that engine, and she's standing there right next to me. And because she hadn't belted up yet, so I'm doing the belting work, and we get it belted up and ready to go and do a test run on it, and I get off, and she's like, Dad, what are you doing? And I'm like, no, you did the work.
You do it.
This is your Spark show. And, so several of us, I mean, it's a family affair, it's friends, it's everybody, but she ran that engine, and the next day, then get a couple compliments on it, and I'm like, that wasn't me. That was my sweetheart, and she, my youngest one, and, they're all involved, but yeah, she did it that night, and I could not let her do it, and she did all the work, so.
That memories that stay with everybody. There's no question about it at all. Just a note of how small a world and how many different cultures and how many different people that the steam engine show brings. I know my father had cataracts when I was a young person, and they weren't the outward ones, they were inward due to an injury, and Dr. Bailey, I don't know why I even remember his name, but Dr. Bailey, operated on him, and it was the first time they had it in Rosebud, but Dr. Bailey from St. Louis, I mean, he was a highly qualified eye surgeon. I mean, cataract today is nothing. You'll go in and outpatient. But Dad was there for like 5 or 6 weeks. You know what I'm saying? Because they had to get it all healed and do whatever. Anyway, Dad told him about the steam engine show, and he had one, and he come to Rosebud, for several years there in a row, brought his steam engine in and did whatever. So there's an awful lot of people, across the country that grew up with that. And it's fun. It's a family affair. And it tells an awful lot of our history and our culture, and know where our roots are.
Yeah, definitely.
So it's excellent. Hey, we're going to take a little break here. We're talking to Larry Keevan. He is Vice President of Gasconade County Thrashers, and we're going to come back and highlight some more things that's going on here on KTUI 1560 AM. 94.1 FM, or possibly you're watching on Facebook Live. Make a note right now, though, to think about what you're doing this weekend, because it's cheap getting in there. What is it, $10?
$10 gets you in for all 3 days.
$10 gets you in for 3 days, and just, you know, the entertainment and what they do. I mean, it's check it out. It is absolutely worthy, and you get a button.
You get a button?
How many? So you got 60 buttons? Has there been one every year?
Yes, 62. Yeah. So there's been.
I'm sure somebody's got a collection of them
yeah,
too.
There's several of them got collections of them, and that's big in that you know, those that go to different shows like we're starting to do now, getting into more shows, is your whole collection of all the shows that you've been to, and at some of the shows now in the flea market area, they've got buttons for sale, and it's like different year periods of different shows. So like
You pick them up.
Their ancestors went, and now that doesn't mean anything to them. So then there's people still collecting them, so they're available. And yeah, I bought one in Mount Pleasant that had Stu DeWalt's engine on it from Rosebud, and it was before my time. But Stu is, you know, my dear friend, and I don't have, you know, didn't have a button of his, and so now I got one. You know, so they're out there and available.
Who was that, Walt?
Stu DeWalt.
Okay.
Yeah, he was one of the steam engine operators for a number of years. Him and Don Lair are my mentors.
Yeah,
in
really?
our association.
Wow.
So,
Well, so we're going to come back here and finish up talking about the steam engine show. But Gracie, I bet there's something else this time of the year, this weekend, that's going on here, because this is the time of year. And I hate to say this because I know when when the Thrasher show is, the fair comes next, and then summer gets over. You know.
it's
And
unfortunate.
yeah, you know, but the back to school, and you know, but I enjoy the fall too. I enjoy all of the times of the year. But
You have to.
yeah, I know, I know.
Don't have a choice.
I you know, there's a few winter days I don't mind
Yeah.
sleeping in if I could, but you know.
There's a few summer days I don't like
Well,
either.
I
but-
understand that. I do. So what else is going on in our neck of the woods? Grace?
Yeah, so along with the Threshers Association going on this weekend, I believe the Crawford County Fair is going on in Cuba this weekend. I didn't see anything in the paper, but I believe the parade was yesterday. So that has started, and that'll be this weekend as well.
Crawford of Cuba is where that fairground is. And they got an awesome fairground down there. I don't know if you've ever been there, but it was the old horse track, you know, where they do a lot of parking on it or whatever. But it's a very, very, very nice facility. You know, I ain't been there in a while, but interesting place to go.
They usually have great entertainment there as well. And then the next couple weeks is the 76th Annual Gastonade County Fair, July 26th through the 29th. Lots of entertainment going on there. Wednesday we'll have Little Mr. and Miss and the Queen contest, as well as bull riding. Thursday, Demolition Derby. Friday, Truck and Tractor Pull. And then Saturday is the Truck and Tractor Pull as well. And then for entertainment, we have Sarah Evans and Tracy Bird. Tracy Bird's on Friday night, Sarah Evans is on Saturday. And I believe they're still looking for volunteers if anybody is interested for the upper food stand and the lower food stand, 9 to close on Saturday evening.
You know, there's so many people that volunteer, you know, and the Gascony County Fair is one of the best in the state, in my opinion, you know, but it takes an incredible amount of people to run that. And if your church group or fraternity or whatever, our business can do and help out, everybody benefits from these kind of things. So I think actually the Thrashers actually help up there sometimes, and I think part of the fair board used to come down and help the Thrashers. I don't know if that occurs anymore, but whatever.
I don't think it's members, but there are some things that we donate back and forth between the two.
Yeah.
I think they use our speaker system for some stuff. So, you know, it's a community.
Yeah.
And everybody's got to, you know, everybody shares and does what they can.
No question about it. So the fair's coming up, and picnic's over.
Picnics are over. I don't see any signs in Rosebud anymore, so
No.
they must all be passed.
So picnics are over, but you know, we move into Thrashers, and you know, it's a good thing. So when does the show actually start, Larry? Are they selling tickets today even? to get
We're
in?
not selling buttons yet today, but you can, the show starts Friday morning, and so anytime Friday, Saturday, or Sunday, just pull on in. They take your buttons as you pull in, or give you your buttons as you pull in.
$10 to get you
$10
all
gets you in,
weekend.
gets you a button, so you come back Saturday, you show them your button, you get back in free, basically.
Get your book too, right?
You can get your book, yeah, got all the events listed in it, and then when Gracie was mentioning volunteers, I think they were still looking for some for Saturday afternoon down at the tractor pull. We got we got a few groups that always help, and there's an opening there. So yeah, just like anything, you can contact any one of us board members if you've got anybody that wants to help. And if you want to be a member, just contact any one of us. And anybody that's got a young one, my engine is usually hot all day. I pride myself on it having it hot early. And I always got somebody there, but I always am passionate about getting them little ones up on there if they want to blow that whistle. And by all means, get them by. And if we got time to give rides, I always give rides. Sometimes we're working and we can't do that, but there's usually an engine around that can. So by all means, get the whole family there, and and we'll give the big kids rides too if they ask nice enough.
And the old man too, probably.
Yeah, I mean, it's not just the little kids that are passionate about this stuff. Sometimes it's the big kids. When we parade up in Montgomery City, when I got on rubber and they asked me to go in their Friday night parade, and we went down 19. The first year I did it, my wife couldn't make it. And a friend of mine helped me, and my daughter and his wife were our support crew. And then, so the second year we did it was actually post-COVID, and then nobody could help. So then I'm like, Sarah, can you get here and help me? And that's the first time she spent that much time on the engine, steering for me. And I had her wore out steering that thing because we drove it across town, sat, waited for the parade, drove it back 1.5 miles back across town. But afterwards, she like, okay, now I understand. I'm like, it's not the little kids. I love doing it for little kids, and I'll blow that whistle for any one of them that I can while we're in the parade route. And I go, but they bring some of the buses from some of the retirement homes over there. I said, it's the big kids too. And seeing the smiles, just seeing that engine drive down, and they get passionate about everything in the parade, but that steam engine just puts an extra little special touch to it.
There's no question. I mean, people that were part of that, it brings back all of that rush of memories, the food, the camaraderie, the work that's involved with it, and it's what it's all about. That's why we live where we live, because we appreciate our neighbors and we appreciate working as much for others as we do ourselves, and that's a great deal. So. Well, let's just go back through a little bit and highlight each and every day here. It's going to open Friday.
Yeah, open Friday. They'll have tractor games at 4:30 on Friday evening. Our registration is at 4:30, and the games start at 5. The lawnmower pull starts at 6. They'll be in the lower field. Then that evening's entertainment, they're right by the beer wagon in the main food court area.
Okay.
There is Borderline at 7:30 to 11. And and we'll be sawing logs and thrashing Friday afternoon. Usually we'll have something hooked up earlier in the day, just testing everything. I had to get the saw blades rehammered again, so that was so hopefully our sawmill is not
Sharp, ready to
not
go.
giving us a fit this year. We struggled a little bit last year, but when you only use it once a year, it's so we got another blade, so hopefully we're set up for that. So then we get into Saturday. And we'll be sawing, and I think sawing and thrashing starts at 10 a.m. And then they got a cast iron skilling throw at 10:15. The cloggers are there at 11. Our on the grounds parade starts at noon, and so all the tractors that want to parade will go through the parade, young and old. Then the tractor pull follows that down in the lower field, and then at 3 o'clock the farm family is entertaining from 3 to 6. And
Where are they from? Do you know?
that I don't know. We got a couple guys that take care of our entertainment.
Yeah,
here,
of course.
And I wasn't involved in that, so Kenny and Wyatt were kind of more involved in that. But it's a family affair. Several instruments that
Sure.
they're playing. So I think good old-fashioned bluegrass music. And then we got a bale toss at 7. Then Dave Perryman in the country will be singing some good old music from 7:30 to 10. That will be Saturday, and then Sunday we start out with our church service at 8 a.m. and there'll be steam engines and everything warming up on the grounds. Adult pedal tractor pull is at 10. The car show starts at 10, goes till 2:30, and then we do our presentations at noon, and then right after presentations, we start with the parade of all the implements again. Pony pool, which I hadn't mentioned yet, is
No,
the pony
and I
pool.
was going to ask you about that earlier. Are
Yeah,
they still there?
The pony pool is still there. That's
Now you want to talk about something that grabs my attention. You know, those pony pulls and how they get down and how they pull and the communication between the driver and them ponies and what he can get them to do is remarkable.
Oh yeah, yeah. The amount of, I mean, it's, yeah, the amount of weight that they pull, yeah. And unless you're there to see it and witness it, it's yeah, you know, they keep throwing blocks on the sled and they just keep going and pulling more. So yeah, there's a lot of work going on by that crew.
I want them on my tug of the war team.
So yeah, the Spinners Guild will be there. We got homemade ice cream. Like we talked about the food. You know, the
Excellent
park does
all the
excellent
way
food
through.
all the way
The fish are
yeah, all the
great.
volunteers that help with that, you couldn't do it without them. And you know, it's a big fundraiser for the parks as well. Unfortunate that we had the dry weather; they couldn't do fireworks. So the parks will have fireworks in September, Labor Day weekend. So you know, that was the only real change that we had. And fortunate that we got some rain, so now hopefully we can put on some sparks. So Friday and Saturday evening, hopefully about 9 o'clock, we'll be able to hook a steam engine up and throw
Bring
some
your
sparks.
camera. For those that haven't seen that, pretty impressive light show. You know,
definitely.
it could almost work for the fireworks. In all honesty,
It could, and it's more impressive in person. So yeah, the videos and the photos do justice, but unless you're there seeing it and feeling it, and it's something I became passionate about early in my career with the engines. And last year I had the very fortunate blessing. There's an engine up in Mount Pleasant that throws the best sparks that I've seen. It's a 130 Reeves. It's a simple double. It's a big engine, and so that was the first one I saw throw sparks, and kind of got passionate about it. So you might say it was on my bucket list. Through a friend of a friend of a friend, I got my ass on that engine last year. Part of my language, but I threw sparks with that engine, and
Impressed.
couldn't have been happier. And
So tell me
everybody
just quickly on how you got to get the steam up, right? And then you put air through it?
we put sawdust in it, and,
Okay.
and basically we hook it up to the fan, which is
Okay.
usually in the center of the ball diamond. That gives us the load, and so we create a draw through that engine, and then we take them. That sawdust has to get right, you know, so that it basically takes the sawdust, burns it, and it's flying out. We'll throw sparks 40 feet in the air, and you know, it's an impressive light show, and you know, every year I think, you know, can I do a little bit better? You know, it's a passion. Last year, Colton, with it being our first year, he took one of the association engines, he built it up with it, he did sparks, and so then I was teasing him. We had our own little competition, and for whatever reason, and I'll give him credit because, you know, I guess, you know, he got into this because of hanging around us and running the steam engines, but he's as passionate as I am. But he probably won that competition. I never have told him that yet.
You need to wait.
Yeah, but yeah, he threw good sparks, and you know, and it all depends on the fire. It depends on the sawdust because it's damp sawdust coming right out of the sawmill. So you know, some nights it burns a little better than others. And
Sure.
Yeah, when you're there witnessing it and you see how that one engine's throwing and how the other one's throwing. So yeah, occasionally we've hooked two engines up in an evening. So sometimes it goes till 10 o'clock. And then usually afterwards, our crew anyway, I got to sit with that engine for a couple hours.
Cool it down.
Cool it down, and so we grab a couple lawn chairs and sit there. So, you know, we don't usually get to enjoy as much of the entertainment because we're over by the engine and can't leave that baby until it cools off. But, you know, there's all kinds of stuff going on in the grounds.
Larry, thank you.
Thank you.
You for being here. Thank you what you're doing. Thank you for your family. Thank you for keeping our culture and our heritage alive. So we can, we'll have the grandkids there, or some of them I know. We'll get there because it is some of the best parts of who we are. And you know, you have blended in so well and do such an amazing job with someone that doesn't necessarily grew up. You know what I'm saying? I don't assume. I don't know that.
Nope.
But didn't grow up, you know, doing this stuff, and you picked it up. So thank you.
Yep. The last little tidbit I want to mention, Sunday at awards, we tribute those that we've lost. We will be paying honorable mention to Mason.
Yep.
Definitely
Yep.
true memory for us.
Absolutely, and thank you, and thank you for being along with us today. And go to Rosebud sometime this weekend, and see our history, see our heritage, feel the passion that is there and the love that is throughout that community and throughout the people that work so hard putting this show on. God bless you, Larry, and your family, and Grace. Next week we'll be back.
We will be back with someone,
With someone, and then
hopefully from the, maybe from the fair.
from the fair. We'll
Yep.
probably need to highlight that a little bit or do whatever. And so, okay, we're out of here, and we'll see you next week. Good Lord willing, and thank the good Lord for the rain. It absolutely will make a difference in a lot of people's operation and lives. Thank you.
7,000, showing a decline from the previous week's figure of 249,000. And film and television actors are preparing to vote on a strike on Thursday. SAG-AFTRA and the Alliance of Motion Picture and Television Producers failed to agree to a new contract by Wednesday night's deadline. If actors go on strike, they would join film and television writers on the picket lines. Those writers have been on strike since early May. This is USA News.
Yo, Biff, this one still needs to be vacuumed.
The service at Chuck's car detailing business is spotless. But new word-of-mouth recommendations leave him short of hands.
They don't have an appointment? Just get him in line behind the pickup truck. I'll stay for another couple hours and get it done tonight.
Indeed can help him hire great people fast.
I need Indeed.
Indeed you do. Our hiring platform instantly connects you with quality candidates, and you can schedule and conduct virtual interviews right from the Indeed dashboard. Visit Indeed.com/credit and get $75 towards your first sponsored job. Terms and conditions apply.
The Dell Technologies Black Friday in July event has arrived with limited quantity deals on top tech to power any passion. Save on select XPS.